Hey everyone, welcome across the ditch NC. My name is Laura and I'm so glad you're here today. I'm still planting the fall garden. I think we asked the question a few videos back, will it ever end? And the question is no. Actually the question is yes, because when I looked at the forecast a few days ago, it was showing like for the next 2 weeks, the lowest temperature being 49 degrees overnight. And then I looked at the forecast last night and it's showing temperatures tomorrow night being like, tomorrow's Friday, October the 30th. And it's showing the temperatures being like 40 degrees. And then Saturday night being, I can't remember if it's Saturday or Sunday. Anyway, either Saturday or Sunday night being like 33 degrees. So I'm going to go try to get the last little bit of garlic in the ground. Go ahead and throw in, I don't know if this is a wise idea or not, but go ahead and throw in some more of my broccoli that I have planted and cabbage or my little seedlings. And then go ahead and put my hoops in the garden. So tomorrow when I get off work, I can come home and throw the row covers on top to hopefully protect them from the potential frost. I find it interesting where we live because right now, I guess the remnants of the hurricane are starting to move through. This evening we're supposed to get some rain. We're getting a lot of wind gusts right now. It's warm, kind of humid outside. And then tomorrow I'm gonna have to cover my beds because temperatures are gonna get down into the 30s. And I don't want to risk a surprise frost killing off anything. Kind of ironic when you think about it. Boo. It's a very bright light. All right, well, it is very dark. It is like 8 o'clock at night. So I'm calling it a night. Gonna go in and feed my family and probably come back out some more this weekend and finish planting the big garden. So still not too late, even though we do have a couple of nights of potential frost ahead of us. The temperatures for right now, we know that can change, are gonna warm back up after that. The highs during the day will be in the 70s. Overnight lows will be in the 50s. So you still do have time to plant a little something for the fall. Definitely some lettuce and things like that would probably do really good right now, and some kale. Welcome back to the house. Carrying my pile of stuff with me. Check it out. Kind of hard to see. I heard a noise behind me. Isn't that pretty? Makes me very happy. Garden. Solar lights. As you heard me say in my previous video, we are expecting a frost / possible freeze in the next day or two. So I am working to get the garden prepared for that the best I possibly can with the resources I currently have. I will say, check that out. My no dig bed has a nice little layer of pine straw on it. I'm gonna say God has been helping me out and top dressing that bed back there. That way I don't have to do it. If you have pine trees in your yard, or if you have neighbors who do, pine straw is a great insulator for your garden beds. If you are expecting some cooler weather, or even in the summertime, to help retain moisture, you can dress your garden beds on top of the soil with some pine straw. So, and it's free, it's plentiful around the great state of North Carolina. I mean, come on, the longleaf pine is our state tree. But I'm going to work to rake the pine straw in my yard, and my neighbor has graciously given me permission to rake the pine straw in her yard, so I can use it to dress some of my beds, and also whatever is left over I'm going to throw it in the compost bin so it can start breaking down. So in the spring, when I go to plant my spring and summer garden, I will have some wonderful compost to put into my garden. The garden is looking alive and happy and green. My peas are extending above the back fencing, and check out these peas. They're beautiful. Where are they at? There they are. Blossoms. But I have something really exciting to show you. If I can work through here real quick. Yep, radish. I bet some of you guessed it. Check this guy out. Holy cow. That thing is huge. Look at that. That is a huge radish. Well, since I break your root structure, I'll go ahead and pull you. See if I have any more ready. There's some little ones in here. I'll leave a little bit longer. Go ahead and pull this on. I intend to have a salad for supper tonight. Oh, here's some good ones. I usually don't leave my radish in long enough for them to get very big. So to see that one that got away from me, but still being a good radish, excites me. The rest of these guys in, those are not big enough to pick yet. I couldn't resist. I love radish. Oh, it's so good. A radish freshly plucked from the garden, so much better than a grocery store radish any day. You should grow some. Got to the big garden early enough that you could see what I've done in the sunshine. I've got to get out here and pull these weeds. Garlic does not like weeds, so I got to get all that pulled because that's where my garlic is planted, between, see if I can get my hand in frame here, between these two and these two little hoops. I have garlic planted there, and then here I have broccoli and cabbage somewhere. There's my cabbage. So I'm going to try to get some more planted right here and then throw the hoops over top of it, so tomorrow when I get home from work I can come out here and cover them up, so when we get down to 32, 33, they'll be able to stay a little bit warmer. Alright, so I have onions in the ground and some more of my cabbage. I'm gonna grab some of these hoops to go ahead and place over them. I got these from Johnny's Seed Company. I ordered them online. Get my rake out of the way. I think I got like a pack of 10 for like 20 bucks. And they're really sturdy. They'll last many seasons to come. There we go. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do to help protect these seedlings after I give them a good water, I'm going to put a row cover on them. And this time of year, this row cover serves two purposes. One, it's going to help keep the insects off of my seedlings, and two, it's going to help keep my seedlings warm. Even though these are cool weather crops that I've planted, when the temperatures, particularly in the seedling stage, when the temperatures are getting down into the low 30s, they may not like it too well. So I'm going to cover them up at nighttime and then uncover them during the daytime. But I'll cover them up at night to help keep them warm. So once they get a little bit more mature and established, if we start having a frost, particularly once it starts to produce the fruit or the vegetable, then I'll probably just leave the row cover on, honestly, all the time until we need it, simply because it'll be cold enough out here at that time that they'll need to stay a little warmer all day, which once again in eastern North Carolina, you never know, it could be 75 degrees on Christmas Day. Who knows? All right, I can't remember if I already said, but these row covers came from Johnny Seed, or Johnny Selected Seeds. It's online, you can look them up. This is the Agribon AG19 row cover. I sent them a message and asked them, hey, do I need to get this one or the Ag 15 or Ag 50 row cover? I think it was the 50, I can't remember. They were incredibly helpful. They asked what zone I was located in, like specifically where in that zone I was located, and the weather here during the winter time, and the average low that we have. They even asked me like the record low that we've had here, and that helped them to steer me towards this one. And they said this one should be good for our general weather here in northeastern North Carolina, but if it was going to get down like into the single digits, to throw a second row cover on top of it just to give the plants that little bit of extra protection. This isn't meant to serve as a greenhouse. It's meant to keep the water vapors and stuff from settling on the plants, keep the plants from freezing, the frost forming on the plants, keep the plants from freezing. So it's like a greenhouse, but it's not. I know that's confusing. It increases the temperature underneath the row cover by a few degrees, not much, but it just mostly keeps that frost and ice and snow off of it. It does allow water to work through it, so when it rains or if you're out here watering the garden, then the water will permeate through it and get to the plants. Total brain burp. And it also allows plenty of sunlight to get through to them, but it just keeps that frost and the ice off of it. And if you're really concerned, particularly if there's going to be an ice storm or snowstorm, then you can throw a layer of plastic over top of it, and that'll further protect your plants and warm it up even more on the inside, so your plants will be unaffected. So I'm not fully prepared to put this on. This particular row cover that I ordered is 10 foot wide by 50 foot long. This row cover can be cut, and that's what I'm going to end up doing. I'm not going to do it today because I haven't finished out the length of my row yet, but this row cover will probably do close to 4 rows for me. So I'm going to show you how I put this on. I'm not fully prepared, so please don't hate me for it, because I don't have my sandbags to anchor down the side yet. I have them, I just haven't put the dirt in them yet. But I'm going to go ahead and cover these plants up. This kind of reminds me of the fabric that we used to use when we would make like little haunted houses and stuff. If that gives you an idea. Alright. And this would be a lot easier with 2 people, but my husband just left to go hunting, so I'm gonna try to manage it on my own. So what I'm gonna do, you may not be able to see it too well. I'm gonna start right here, if you will not fall off. Trying to keep you from falling. Nope, not gonna work. Stand by. Why don't you stay up here? Okay. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start right here at the very end of my row. And I'm going to, for time being, usually you're gonna leave excess on the end. Leave a few inches extra on the end so you can kind of bundle it up and either anchor it down with like a metal anchor. Oh no! I'm gonna have to move y'all. You keep falling. Hi. So you would usually use like some sort of anchoring system on the end, kind of fold the end of the fabric into itself and put it against the sole and then anchor it down with some sort of stake. But what I'm going to do for right now is I'm just going to drape it over it, and then I'm going to kind of bundle it up at the end and then just put some dirt lightly over top of it until I can go home and get my sandbags filled up, and then I'll come set those on the end. But then I'm just going to take them and just start draping it gently over each hoop until I get to the very end. And then, like I said a while ago, I'm not going to cut it just yet because I haven't finished planting these rows yet. So I'm just going to take all the fabric and kind of fold it into itself and put a little bit of dirt on top of it so it don't blow away. That looks horrible. It really does. But the intent right now is just to get it covered up. I'm going to come back out here in just a little bit and loop some string. I don't know if you remember seeing in the thing, there's little loops here, and the intent is to tie a string here and run it to each hoop, and it creates a straight line. You just use twine, but it creates a straight line to help support the fabric going from hoop to hoop so it doesn't drape down. And so I'm going to come back and do that, and then I'm also going to put some dirt in a few of my sandbags and just kind of gently set them every so often so the wind doesn't come and make a parachute out of my agribon here, or my ag fabric. But so this will look like a little tunnel going down here when I get done, but I just wanted to go ahead and get it covered because it's supposed to get to low 40s tonight. It's not supposed to frost, but I still want to just go ahead and get it covered so it's here, and just in case I didn't get back tonight, to go ahead and get it finished. Hey everybody, I'm back. It's Saturday, it's Halloween. Temperatures are only supposed to get into the low 40s tonight, but they are going to get into the mid to low 30s tomorrow night, and it's supposed to rain all day tomorrow. So I'm going to go on down to the big garden and actually tie up my hoops like I mentioned earlier. So it's pretty chilly out here today, and I'm going to try not to get too dirty because we're getting ready to go to church. All right, so I'm going to start on one end and just start looping my string through each of my hoops. I'm actually going to adjust my hoops so they're even on each side, and then once I do that, I will go ahead and lay my fabric over top of the hoops, and that way you can see how it makes it look a lot better than it did last night. I'm gonna sit you down. Hopefully you can see. All right, so I'm just going to start right here on the end, on this edge, and I'm just going to tie my string with my twine through here. There's no fancy way to do this. Just gonna tie it through. I'm gonna go ahead and cut some of this off so it makes it a little bit easier to pull through. Maybe it won't tangle too bad. Alright, so now I'm just gonna feed it through each hoop and kind of loop it around. But once again, when I finish planning, I'll go through and string the interior loops. That way we have full support all the way across. Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Sunday, November the 1st. We just had a pretty nasty windstorm with some heavy downpours. So I came down to the big garden to check on the frost fabric that I put down yesterday and just wanted to share it with you. So it held up really well. It didn't blow off. Where I did not tie my strings on the ends, I just kind of looped them around because I'm still going to continue on with the row. As I finish planning, my string lost tension, I'm assuming during the rainstorm, causing that middle area to sag. I think once I have the strings looped down the center, like I talked about yesterday doing, that it's going to continue to provide better support, or it's going to provide better support in that middle section as well. And then once I get my strings tied off on the end, I feel like they will stay in place a lot better. But it held up, it didn't blow away, and the winds got pretty strong, so I'm happy with it. I think the flowers for these snow peas are absolutely beautiful. Look at that. So pretty. So even though the temperatures are supposed to get down really cool tonight, down to 35, we don't have the threat of frost just yet, but I still am taking precautions just in case we get caught off guard. And also, once again, because I do have some really tiny seedlings in this garden, and I don't want the bitter cold temperatures to have a negative effect on them. Even though they are cool weather crops, I don't want that low of a temperature to get to them just yet while they are in such a young stage. So I'm using frost fabric, say that 10 times fast. However, if you don't have frost fabric, or if like me, I have some but I don't have enough to do my entire garden, other things you can use are bed sheets. When we had a really late frost, it was like April, May of this year, I literally had, because I had pretty much my entire garden established at that point, I pretty much had every bed sheet out of my house that was not on a bed out in the garden, even to the point I was pulling out pillowcases, and I ended up pulling some of the 6 mil plastic that we had. I pulled that out and was laying it across garden beds. Pretty much anything you can use to provide a cover over your plants should work. Whether it's you cut the ends off of a milk jug and set it over top of it, so the closed portion of the jug is sitting over top of your plant, a 2-liter soda bottle, anything, a bucket, just during the night, set it over top of the plant. That way it keeps the moisture off of the plant and keeps the freezing from happening, for lack of better terms. But so in my garden, I'm going to use some of my frost fabric that I still have left over, and then I'm also going to take some bed sheets and pillowcases and put out over these plants. For my tomato plants that are up front in pots, I'm just going to pull them underneath my carport. We're not going to have issues with frost there, so I'll just drag them underneath my carport and they should be fine. We're only supposed to have these temperatures in the mid to low 30s over the next 2 nights, so they should be fine there, and then I'll just put them back out each morning. And that is something to remember when you are covering your plants. Once the sun hits the garden in the morning, go ahead and uncover the plants. That way they won't be starved for that sunlight. That way, if it rains, anything like that, they can get that moisture. But you don't want to leave them covered all day, especially when the temperatures are supposed to get up to like nearly 60. You want to uncover your plants. So cover them at night when you have a threat of frost, and then uncover them during the day so they can get their sunlight and their moisture and stuff. All right, so 2 of my pallet beds and then the no dig bed that I put down, all I did was just gently drape or loosely drape some of the frost fabric across it. If we were going to have super cool temperatures and a guaranteed chance of frost, I would put something underneath it to elevate it off of the ground just a little bit to create a space between the seedling and the fabric. But right now, I'm just going to do a gentle drape like I do with the bed sheets to just put a little protective layer between the air and the seedling. For your more tender seedlings, it is a good idea to create that little bit of space, just so simply the weight of the fabric doesn't cause any damage either. But I haven't had any issues in the past, so knock on wood, I won't have any issues doing this. I did use my little plastic fencing post to at the very edge of the fabric, poke a hole in it and anchor it into the ground at 3 points, here, here, and over there. And then right here, I just used my T-post or my fencing post to just kind of brace against it, and then I set my flower pot on top of it. I don't want to puncture the fabric too much, because eventually I will have hoops underneath this, so I can put down the fabric appropriately, so I don't want to cause any more damage. And then I also cut it, and I cut it a little bit longer than I should, so once I can get some extra hoops out here and create that little bit of an arch over the garden, I'll have the extra fabric to do so with. It is 5:42 in the afternoon. As much as I loved my extra hour of sleep, it is dark, even though you can't tell by the camera. It is dark out here. I have a street light and floodlights on the house, providing us some mood lighting here. You can see me. Hey. All right. So there's the garden. It is not completely covered. I left some stuff uncovered just because I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm ready to go inside and cook for the kiddos and the hubby. But for the most part, everything is covered. I use my AG19 from Johnny C Company for most of it. You saw in the time lapse my husband helping me cut some of the agribond so it would fit my 18-inch beds where my lettuce on the back wall and on the side wall where my lettuce and my radish and carrots are planted. But everything is covered and anchored, hopefully. I did bring out some of my bed sheets. These are what we call the dog sheets, because these are bed sheets that have gotten holes in them because they're so old. So I use them out in the garden, and then when we travel, if the dogs go with us, you know, put them in the car. Like if we're you know, going to the vet or something, I'll cover my seat with it. But that bed right there has 2 sheets on it. I use my little rooster to help anchor it. 2 sheets on it. I have a sheet over the rutabagas, and then everything else is covered in the frost fabric. I left my more mature radish uncovered. They should be fine. But the rest of them, everything else is covered. And then I left these 3 or 4 Brussels sprouts uncovered. There you go. So in the morning, I will come out here and actually pull the bed sheets off of each of the garden beds. That way they will get plenty of sunlight during the day and moisture if it rains, which I don't think it's supposed to rain tomorrow. But because tomorrow's high is supposed to be 50, it's going to be perfectly fine to leave that ag fabric over top of my garden beds. So the beds that I put the ag fabric on, I'm just going to leave it because it's supposed to get down into the mid-30s tomorrow night. So I'm going to leave it that way. I don't have to hassle with it. But the bed sheets I will definitely pull off my garden bed, and then tomorrow evening when I get home from work, I'll come back out, throw the bed sheets back over top of the beds. And then on Tuesday, I think the temperatures are supposed to be like in the 60s, if memory serves me correctly. So most likely Tuesday, I will come out and I will pull everything off, the ag fabric, the sheets, everything. Because for like the next week, the temperatures are forecasted to be in like the 60s and 70s during the daytime, and then like in the 50s at night. So the plants will be perfectly fine at night because those are the temperatures we've had for the past few weeks. So like I said, I did all this just out of an abundance of precaution, simply because the temperature is supposed to get down into the mid to low 30s tonight. Even though our dew point is still pretty high, I just wanted to, because a lot of these still are small seedlings, I wanted to put these covers on the bed just to protect them from that really cold temperature. But hopefully we'll get a few more weeks frost free so I can keep planting and have a pretty, hopefully good crop of vegetables for the winter time. We'll see. So like I said earlier, these covers, the way I have them placed, are very temporary. Once I get my covers placed for the duration of the winter, then I will show you how I do that and how the vegetables perform underneath those covers and stuff throughout the winter time. This is going to do it, or that's going to do it for this video today. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to get my mess cleaned up and head inside and cook some supper for the family. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you come back to see me again.